Good afternoon, folks, and thanks for joining us. Welcome to the MMA Sucka Podcast. My name's Tim Wheaton, joined as always by Frazer Krohn. Frazer, how you doing today, man?
Yeah, all good. We've just sat down for a really good chat with up-and-comer Melissa No Mess Mullins, as we discussed on our interview. Dixon, she competes for the Era's 135-pound belt in a couple of weeks' time. So yeah, be sure to keep it locked to the YouTube. We've got that dropping probably later today or tomorrow ahead of her fight on Era's 14 in a few weeks. So that was really fun. But we're lucky now that we can just geek out. We can go, oh, look at this fight. Look at this weekend. We've got a really good main event. We've got noticeable names sort of drip throughout the card. And we've got, two interesting fights on PFL Europe 1, but competitive fights throughout PFL Europe 1 to break down. So, yeah, I'm excited to jump into it.
Yeah, there's a few things this weekend. And obviously, there's one amazing fight in the UFC. Bantamweight just keeps trucking along. However, other than that, this weekend, yeah, PFL in Europe. What do we march coming up this weekend? Oh, the schedule needs to be up to date, you guys. Anyway, but yeah, not a ton this weekend, but the one great UFC fight is great. Marlon Chito Vera, going to be fighting Cory Sandhagen. Banger. That's a banger written all over it, right?
Without a doubt. And, let's not forget that this was meant to be behind closed doors. This was meant to be the Erin Blanchfield, what turned out to be Jessica Andrade fight 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's been delayed by 3 or 4 weeks, and rightfully so. These two men need to be fighting in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
After the performances that Marlon Vera has been putting in his last few fights, he deserves to be fighting in front of a crowd. He's on a 4-fight win streak, 2 decisions, two finishes. Let's not forget, his last finish was that where he put Dominic Cruz's nose on the other side of his face.
Yeah.
Before that, he dominated Rob Font, like badly beat him. Before that, he front kicked Frankie Edgar in the face. And before that, he had a fight of the night with Davey Grant. Yes, he lost to Jose Aldo by decision, but it's Jose Aldo. It's Jose. It's the same with Cory Sandhagen. You look down his record. Yes, he's only coming off the back of 1 win. It was a doctor's stoppage against Song Yadong. But the 2 guys he lost to before that, Petr Yan, which was an extremely close fight. And he also lost to TJ Dillashaw by split decision. Yeah. But he landed the wheel kick on Marlon Vera, and he landed the flying knee on Frankie Edgar. These 2 guys will not take a step backwards in this fight. And if they do, it's only because it's part of the game plan. It's to fight on the back foot. It's to counter strike. I'm so excited for it. If you couldn't already tell, but I was thinking this morning, what does this fight do for each man? Yes, it gets them up the rankings, but bantamweight is so strong.
Yeah.
Who knows what's next for the winner of this fight? But it doesn't matter because the fight is so good. We just want this fight. We want it to go down. We want these 2 guys to just meet in the middle and just throw down. And they're all action fighters. We'll discuss what's next, after the fight. But let's just look forward and look ahead to the fight going down this Saturday night. Live, most importantly, live in front of a crowd, San Antonio, Texas. Thank goodness for that.
Well, the bantamweight division is the exact opposite of welterweight. These 2 guys are top 5 ranked fighters, and they're facing off against one another without the promise of a title shot. That's awesome. That is what division should be. But instead, we got this plug in every other division where no one wants to fight each other. Bantamweights are just looking to throw down. But it is a little bit of an interesting fight because, Chito Vera is such a low output, efficient striker where he is happy to let you throw at air all round long, and then he'll take a flurry at the end. He'll take a power shot at the end or something like that and win the entire round. That's just the way he fights. He's a very efficient striker. He did it to Sugar Sean O'Malley. You especially saw it in that fight. You really saw it in the Dominic Cruz fight where somehow over time, he's throwing less and less. Before he was winning the fight with 2 strikes around, and he thought, no, that's actually way too much. I only need 1 strike around to win, and it's working. And that's the biggest fear when you're coming in against a guy like Cory Sandhagen. I think Cory can dominate the round. 4 minutes, no problem. If he loses the last minute of the round, as he is prone to do every once in a while, the more I look at this, I actually think this is a good fight for Marlon Chito Vera.
Yeah, I mean, like we always say, styles make fights, and luckily these guys are 2 guys whose styles you've got like you're alluding to there, Marlon almost has sort of 3.5 to 4 minutes downloading the data
Yeah.
of his opponent before he just goes absolutely crazy in that last minute. If we just look at the stats, I know, as we always say, we say week in, week out, stats don't tell the whole picture.
Yeah.
But just to back up your point here, Frankie Edgar outlanded Marlon Vera 94 to 88. So that's fairly close. But then obviously Chito pulled off the front kick.
Yeah.
Now this is the most shocking one for me. Rob Font outlanded Chito Vera 271 significant strikes to 159.
Yeah.
Marlon Vera scored 3 knockdowns and absolutely dominated the fight. The state of Rob Font's face after that fight in comparison to Marlon Vera, you just automatically assume that the numbers were flipped against Dominic Cruz. Dominic Cruz landed 92 significant strikes to Marlon Vera's 61. Marlon Vera knocked him down 3 times and then knocked him out in the 4th. Marlon Vera he's not a Max Holloway type striker where he needs, it's not death by 1,000 paper cuts. It's death by last minute where I'm just going to unload on you. And it's working for him. It really is. You look down the losses that he's had in his career, sort of since his career revival. Song Yadong by unanimous decision in a fight of the night. It kind of proves how close that one is. And Jose Aldo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's it. They're the only 2 losses on his record since 2018, when he's had this kind of career revival, as it were, to really become that kind of perennial contender. He's always in the mix, and it's just such an interesting fight because like we say, or like you made a really good point there, is Cory can win the first 4 minutes, 3.5, probably even 4 minutes 15 seconds of this round of a round. And then Marlon Vera can just nick it at the end. It's kind of what he did against Rob Font. Is he kind of allowed himself to be backed up a little bit. He allowed Rob Font to land the leg kicks, to sort of land the jabs on the forearms. And then he just unloaded on him and knocked him down. I mean, if I was Cory, I'd be looking to strike with Marlon for the first 4 minutes of a round and then get it into a clinch, or get it into a clinch situation where it's not clear that Marlon is winning that last minute, because you don't want to sway the judge's mind for the last kind of minute of a fight. Although that's a dangerous game to play with someone like Marlon Vera, it's probably the smartest thing to do is get on your game. Cory Sandhagen, we know he's got elite boxing in the bantamweight division. Mm-hmm. Box and move, keep Marlon Vera guessing, but don't play into his trap as well of just constantly landing on him, because I think sometimes Marlon Vera does set that trap of, okay, you can punch me 10 times, but if I punch you once, you're going down.
Yeah.
And Cory can't do that. It's just a fascinating fight. And I think it's such a good fight as well. Just 2 guys that just really, they're desperate for this win, because if Marlon doesn't get the win, he drops down in the rankings. He might not drop down in the rankings because he's slightly higher ranked than Cory Sandhagen. So he'll drop slightly, but not, he won't drop out of the top 5. With Cory, if he loses, it's another loss to a top guy. Is he the nearly guy when it gets to the top sort of 3 of the division? And let's not forget, we're talking about kind of what's next for each man in this division. You're probably going to be welcomed by Merab Dvalishvili with a win. Is that something that what these guys want? Because I certainly wouldn't.
No, I want to fight Aljamain or Cejudo or something like that. But yeah, it is like just how stacked this division is. Of the last 2 guys to beat Cory Sandhagen, being Petr Yan and TJ Dillashaw, went on to fight for a title. One of the guys who not Cory Sandhagen, Chito Vera beat, Sugar Sean O'Malley, is now the number 1 contender. This is how good this division is. It is just nonstop action here. But I do fear for Sandhagen a little bit. I feel like the things that make him strong, that make him exciting, that volumetric striker, those might betray him in this fight, as it has in the past. What makes him so exciting and a crowd favorite is also the thing that often loses him fights, right?
Yeah, for sure. And he has got the sort of, if you look at his kind of build for the bantamweight division, and you kind of look at the way he fights, just as a snapshot, you wouldn't think that he's kind of the flashy striker that he is. But let's not forget, he's got a flying knee knockout in the UFC and a spinning wheel kick knockout in the UFC. And I think he's got some sort of, let me just double check. I remember him locking up some sort of invert, like some. He locked up an armbar against Mario Batista, which is that's aging like a fine wine, that win, because he looked really good last time out. But
Mhm.
you know, from what I understand, I think he on that, with that one, he kind of was falling off the arm and then managed to snap the arm back. He's kind of a flashy striker for what he is, but like you say, he's also really good at the basics. He does leave his leg out there, though. He
Yeah.
does leave that front leg out there, which Marlon Vera will just eat all day. But with Marlon, when we saw him lose against Jose Aldo, he was dominated on the floor. Cory Sandhagen, I don't think is going to be shooting for takedowns and looking to get the fight to the floor and really control it on the floor. He's got a takedown accuracy of 20%, and he lands 0.71 takedowns per 15 minutes. He's not a guy that kind of shoots for takedowns and looks to hold his opponent down and kind of eke out the round like that. He prefers to be on the feet, which could be to his detriment in this one, I agree. But I don't know. I'm still picking Cory Sandhagen. I do think Sandhagen will do it. I think his level of experience over the top guys. Let's remember, he's been 5 rounds with Petr Yan. He's been 5 rounds with TJ Dillashaw. He went 4 rounds with Song Yadong last time out. That was a tough fight for him against Song Yadong. Let's not get mistaken. But he's used to these 5-round main event slots against top guys. Yes, I do think Marlon Vera is a top guy, but I think he's just that. Despite the ranking, I think he's just not had the experience in there that Cory Sandhagen has had, which could pay dividends in this one.
I mean, that's saying a lot. That's saying quite a bit, because he's thrown in there with guys like Dominic Cruz and Sugar Sean O'Malley, which Jose Aldo. He's gotten really good wins here. It's his style that's so annoying, because you can barely show a highlight reel of him. Is the problem of, like, he's got some cool knockouts here and there, whereas Cory Sandhagen is in banger after banger. You can fill a highlight reel for hours of his fights because they're always exciting from bell to bell. Chito Vera does one thing around and then wins. He's so annoying.
But
makes me so mad.
You can almost compare that to the co-main event. Holly Holm, aside from the head kick heard around the world, and maybe the Betch Kahea, and that was kind of made by Betch kind of calling her on, and then her question mark kicking and finishing her. Can't really remember. I have very little recollection of the Pennington win. I remember she just pressed Aldana up against the fence, and I have very little recollection of the Vieira loss, because maybe she just doesn't do enough in those fights to warrant, kind of standing out. But
wait, before we get to the co-main, let's do matchmaking. Let's do matchmaking at bantamweight, because here's the division: Aljamain Sterling, champion. Then you have Merab Dvalishvili, Sugar Sean O'Malley, the winner of Sandhagen Chito Vera, plus Henry Cejudo. Holy heck! Holy absolute heck. What do you do with this division? Who fights who? Okay, Frazer, matchmaker, what are you going to do here?
So obviously we've already got Sterling Cejudo lined up for
That's 100% confirmed.
That's on.
Okay.
So we can kind of rule the champion out, which is fine. Merab says he won't face the champion if the champion is Aljamain Sterling.
Okay.
I think, and he's already beat the number 4 guy, Petr Yan, last time out. That wasn't exactly competitive. He, in my opinion, fights the winner of this fight.
Okay, that's fair.
If it's Cory Sandhagen. If Marlon Vera wins, he's got to call out Sean O'Malley. He's not getting the next title shot. The next title shot is wrapped up with Henry Cejudo getting it. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. And then if Henry Cejudo wins that, he's probably going to face Merab, because it's pretty undeniable. He has to get that rematch with Sean O'Malley. Not only is it the kind of money fight in the division, I think Sean O'Malley's a bigger ticket seller than, he's definitely a bigger ticket seller than the likes of Merab. And he's an easier fight for Marlon Vera than Merab. He's got that history with Sean O'Malley, having been the first man to finish him, to beat him, to finish him. But Sean O'Malley claims that the only reason he lost that is because of the leg injury. Well, prove it then. Prove that you're the better guy. Get back in there with Marlon Vera. But let's not forget, outside of the top 5, you've got Rob Font at 6 facing Adrian Yanez at 12. If Adrian Yanez beats Rob Font, he could possibly jump straight into the top 5. That's at 287, I think, in Miami. You've still got Song Yadong. You've still got, somehow Pedro Munoz has gone up a spot in the rankings. He hasn't got a win since 2019. And let's not forget as well, you've got the boogeyman of the division, Umar Nurmagomedov, who I would throw in with anyone in the top 5, and it would be competitive.
It's so good. It's such a good division.
And then you compare that to welterweight, where you've got one clear contender in Bilal Muhammad who isn't getting a title
Who's
shot.
not? No. Why would we have that? You know what? The UFC is like, we got to sell pay-per-views. We're going to have Leon fight Bilal Muhammad. Who's going to buy the pay-per-view? But at the same time, this is still a sport. You got to fight. The contender has to fight, right?
I mean, it's got to be Bilal next for Leon. Just quickly 100%. On that,
100%.
It has to be to have any, decency in the sport.
Yeah,
I'm fascinated. Obviously we saw last night that Jorge Masvidal's been on the Joe Rogan show. I want to see what he says about the title picture, because I think if Jorge gets a win, he gets the title shot.
This is a dumb division if that's the case. This is idiotic.
We're not doing it on merit anymore. We're doing it on storylines.
No,
what has Colby done to deserve a title shot? He's beaten two guys who are at the tail end of their career, who are on a downward trajectory. Sandwiched by losses.
I don't want to say something I'll regret, but if Jorge Masvidal gets a title shot any time in his career, I will drink a bottle of his tequila. Okay.
Well, this is the thing. I just what is Jorge's thing? He's putting on these borderline freak fights with Anthony Pettis and Roy Jones and Vitor and Jacare and Jose Aldo and Jeremy Stevens.
Yeah.
He's also got his bare knuckle MMA promotion. He's got his tequila. He's also trying to get a title shot in the. It's a horrible matchup for him, and we'll go on to break that down close to the time. But surely Jorge Masvidal must know that he can't sit back and really consider. I got a win over Gilbert. I am the number one guy, not called Leon Edwards.
Come on, Gilbert's gonna eat him alive.
Nothing against Jorge as a person or as a fighter, but I hope he does for the integrity of the UFC and the division. Even if he does, Jorge probably gets a title shot. But surely we can't. We've got to. There's got to be some logic behind title shot, which is going back to this weekend and Marlon Vera and Cory Sandhagen. Realistically, Marlon Vera with a win deserves a title opportunity. He probably won't get it because there's other guys more deserving that are on a longer winning run. Marab, for example, Henry Cejudo, the retired champion that's coming back. I've got no problem with that.
No, me neither. I agree.
But logically, it's got to go Henry, Marab, who doesn't want to fight, so that's absolutely fine. Sean O'Malley, perhaps, then Marlon Vera. It works a lot. Sometimes logic has got to prevail. It doesn't in the UFC, but sometimes it has.
Yeah, I was doing. I forget why I was doing this. This was like 2 years ago, but Henry Cejudo might have the best efficient wins in history. Like 3 of his wins has 20 title defenses in the UFC or something insane like that. And of course, most of that's just he beat Demetrius Johnson, so there's 12, But like even
he beat Dominic Cruz as well, didn't
he? There's like 6 right there or something like that, and then TJ on top. It's just like an insane record of those 3 guys he beat are so efficient. Even George St. Pierre beat champion after champion. John Jones beat champion after champion. Those combined records still didn't reach 20 title defenses. So yeah, Henry Cejudo jumping the line, great, love it. That's absolutely fair. Jorge Masvidal with a win jumping the line, get the hell out. This is so stupid.
And let's not forget, the only reason that Jorge would get the fight is because of the storyline between him and Leon from London 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But also, let's not forget, in that situation, Jorge Masvidal just attacked Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards wasn't stepping to him to try and start a fight with him backstage when he was being interviewed by Laura Sank or Caroline Pitt. I can't remember who it was. That didn't happen. Jorge just out of nowhere attacked Leon Edwards.
Yeah.
Now, either that is great foresight by by Jorge Masvidal, knowing that one day Leon Edwards would be champion and he would be in a position where he's not due a title shot. Yeah. And he said, well, I need to set up a storyline in 4 years. I simply don't believe that to be true. No. What I think is Jorge Masvidal attacked Leon Edwards because he was slightly intimidated by him at the time and now might get a title shot off the back of that. What are we doing? If that's the case, Marlon Vera needs to just randomly go up to Aljamain Sterling and just hit him in the back of the head, because that is essentially what Jorge Masvidal did, and it gets you a title shot. We're setting a precedent here. It gets you a title shot.
we're getting into these storylines that we're like, oh, he hit him with a steel chair after the summer series. Like, this is the kind of stuff we're on about now.
It's
This is so
WWE
stupid.
shit. It's WWE, the 3-piece and a soda. It's WWE shit, which I think deep down, I think Dana White wants to be like Vince McMahon, but unfortunately, there is only one Vince McMahon, and
unfortunately, fortunately, there should be fewer Vince McMahon.
Yeah, true. I mean, but I'm saying, unfortunately, we've got people trying to replicate what McMahon did back in the heyday of the WWE. But Jorge doesn't deserve the shot. But Marlon Vera or even Cory Sandhagen with a really big victory here, knockout of Marlon Vera. He's got the history with Aljamain Sterling.
Yeah,
potentially Cory Sandhagen gets a shot.
Fine,
but like you alluded to just now. That's the fight on this card. There's plenty of interesting fights with recognizable names, but that's the fight to watch on this card. If you don't watch any of the others, don't be too gutted about it. But that is the fight to watch on this card because everything else is a little bit thin.
Drops off pretty quick. Holly Holm, Yana Santos. When has Holly Holm even fought last? It's been a while, right? 2022, she lost Ketlin Vieira. That was a year ago.
She had 2 years off prior to that.
Yana Santos hasn't fought since mid 2021.
Yeah, and this is co-main event worthy supposedly. But again, you look at the division. Imagine Holly Holm. She goes up, she comes down. She goes up, she comes down. What does this do for the division? Juliana Pena does not deserve another shot. Yes, they're 1-1, but she was battered against Amanda Nunes last time out. Yeah. Raquel Pennington potentially deserves another shot, but she's got a loss to Holly Holm. Ketlin Vieira. Yana Santos, I like it. Well, formerly Yana Kunitskaya. Obviously, she's been married to Thiago Santos now. I think she got, let's not forget that she came into the UFC as a body to face Chris Cyborg and has made quite. She's not title worthy. It's just a new face in the division to maybe face Amanda Nunes, which I'd have an awful lot of interest in.
I'm not gonna add anything to that. Yeah, cool. I'm surprised that there's so few people in this division after how good it was at one point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the standout on the card, the standout female fight on the card is Andrea Lee versus Macy Barber. Now, I don't think it's not going to be an all-time classic by any means, but I think these two women are fringe top 10 girls. I think so. You've got Andrea Lee ranked 11, Macy Barber ranked 13. They're the nearly girls, both of them. Maybe not so much Macy Barber. She's got 2 losses to the now champion Alexa Grasso and Roxanne Modafferi when she tore her knee to bits. But she's coming off 3 wins: Miranda Maverick, Montella De La Rosa, and Jessica Rai. Mm-hmm. She could break the top. Well, she will break the top 10 with a win here. But she's standing across from Andrea Lee, who herself, she had a good few wins. She had that win over Antonina Shevchenko. She had a dominant win over Cynthia Calvillo. And then she took a back step against Vivian Araujo last time out.
No shame in that loss. No shame there.
No, for sure. But I think she really needed that one to kick on because she came into the UFC with a lot of hype from, I think it was LFA or Invicta. I can't remember, but she came in with a lot of hype. She started off well. She beat Veronica Hardy, which, has aged quite well. She needed to get that next win to really kick on, but she wasn't able to get it. So, maybe she'll bounce back against Macy Barber on Saturday night. Macy
Barber's still developing, still getting better over time. She entered the UFC quite young, and she's still getting better fight over fight. Like a win over Jessica Eye, that's a pretty good feather in your cap, especially for a fighter who we weren't really sure what her skill level was, and maybe we thought it was lower, but I think she's still getting better. She's still developing, right?
Yeah, for sure. And, I think she put a lot of pressure on herself by wanting to be the youngest ever UFC champion. That went out the window when she lost to Roxanne Modafferi and tore her knee to bits. But now she's kind of fighting without that pressure of, I've got to get this fight. I've got to not take any hits in this fight. I've got to get to the next fight. I've got to get to the next fight. I've got to get to the next fight. And now I think she's just kind of fighting her way up the division. I think it's probably mentally better for her.
Yeah, co-sign with you on that one. Alex Perez versus Manel Kape. This is a good fight. This is actually a very good fight.
And it's gone under the radar. I kind of didn't know that this one was happening.
I
knew that they were fighting. I didn't know they were fighting on this card. But, Manel Kape has finally got over that kind of rut that he was in when he began his UFC career, back-to-back losses. But if you look at the guys he's lost to, Pantoja and Nikolai,
no problem. My God.
Absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And then you look at his last 3 wins: flying knee, flying knee knockout, punches knockout, and a unanimous decision victory. Alex Perez, after having that title shot, as I don't know what's happened to Alex Perez. I'm just looking down his record now.
I know.
He had the Perez was rebooked when he was meant to be facing Brandon Moreno against Davidson Figueiredo and lost within under 2 minutes. He's then had 6 cancelled fights. He then faced Pantoja and lost in a minute and a half. He's then since then had 2 cancelled fights.
Mm-hmm.
And now he faces Manel Kape. I'll be honest, I don't have a lot of faith that this one's gonna go down. It's Manel Kape himself has had 2 cancelled fights since his time in the UFC, and his UFC debut was delayed because of 2 cancelled fights. So
yeah,
these guys have got a little bit of a history of not making the walk. But Alex Perez if he loses again, if he loses early, it's time to call time on Alex Perez's career, unfortunately.
Yeah, co-sign with that. Nate Landwehr and some guy. I'll give him the some guy treatment. Austin Lingo. Oh, he's on a 2-fight win streak. I'm sorry, I just don't know this person at all. But Nate Landwehr, just a guy who goes to war every time out. This guy's trying to kill himself and to kill his opponent at the same time.
I mean, I like it. He does annoy me. Nate Landwehr, to be honest, he does kind of get on when he gets on the mic. He does annoy me, but I like his style. Like you say, he just comes, stands in the middle of the octagon and fights. Yeah, why not? It's just bleed kind of fighting, isn't it?
Yeah, he's always exciting. He's always a ton of fun. And what else do you see on the card that you like? That's pretty much it.
Yeah, we've got Chili back. I think he's coming off the loss to RoboCop. I'm looking forward to his return. And Hayley Cowan's making her debut. She was meant to fight a few weeks ago. I think she was either ill or botched a weight cut or something. Yeah, she botched a weight cut on Wednesday. This is a girl that they want in the UFC. They wanted in the UFC for a while. They gave her the shot in the Contender Series. She won by split decision and still got a contract. It's clear that they want her in the UFC.
Yeah.
At 31, making a UFC debut in the bantamweight division, there's how much of a career is she going to have? I'm not that sure, but like I say, she's clearly liked by the UFC execs. So, she's got her opportunity this Saturday night. She's opening up. She first fight on the card, and she needs to put on a good performance because, like I say, she pulled out last time. She can't be putting in a dull performance again.
Absolutely. Tell me, so Newcastle, England, we got PFL Europe regular season 2023. This came in with a lot of hype. They had some named fighters on it, but then the card itself is just okay. What's going on this weekend with PFL?
It's the Simeon Powell and Dakota Ditchever show. It's the beginning of this PFL Europe 1. They're kicking off their sort of European season. They've got, I think it goes Newcastle. There's a Germany card in there. I think there's a French card in there, and then they conclude with the Dublin card in December. It's not bad. That's all I can say about it. It's not bad. It's in my opinion, it's a step down in competition than the Challenger Series that they've been putting off. But Dakota Ditchever 7-0, six finishes. Everybody knows how high I am on Dakota.
Yeah,
she is taking on an opponent on late notice. Her original opponent pulled out. Her original opponent was 3-3 and was without a win since 2019. Her current opponent is 5-4.
Without a win since 2020.
Without a win since 2020, and is on a 3-fight losing streak. I'm slightly worried that the PFL are just trying to build Dakota into being, the undefeated megastar. Yeah. She's skilled enough to be that undefeated megastar. You can still put her in with, girls that are going to put up a fight. She fought on the PFL championships last year against a girl that was 3-0, and she hadn't fought anyone. She'd only made a debut in 2019, and she fought twice in 2022. Yeah, slightly disappointing in my opinion. But Dakota can only beat what's in front of her. It's a short notice fight, so it is what it is. And then headlining the card, Simeon Powell. I saw him in London finish a fight by leg kicks. Really, really good. It's his 4th fight in the PFL. He fought in the Challenger Series. He fought in the regular season last season, and then he fought at the playoffs last year as well.
Mm-hmm.
He takes on a Dutch kickboxer. Again, like I say, it's a Simeon Powell and Dakota Ditch of a show. These two guys, these guys and these girls they're being pushed from the PFL, rightfully so, because they're really, really skilled. But I just want to be a little bit careful with who, in my opinion, they get matched up with, because we don't want the integrity of the PFL to be questioned. Let's say.
Yeah, yeah. But it should be a fun one. It would have been nicer if they got more local opponents and not given the Michael Venom Page bus driver, fighting fast food worker treatment kind of thing. But it's fine. It's the first one out. Maybe they'll do better, more quality ones in the future. But we're going to be watching.
Yeah, for sure. I will be tuning in to see Dakota get a knockout. I'll be tuning in to see Simeon Powell dominate his opponent, probably get a late stoppage.
Absolutely. Anything else we need to cover off before we head on out of here?
Don't think so. Like I say, me and Tim interviewed Melissa Dixon this morning. That'll be up on the site. I interviewed Nathaniel Wood about his beef with Lerone Murphy, or not so much as it kind of came out as it came out last night. So I'll be dropping that on the site probably later today. And just keep it locked to MMA Sucka, and all that good stuff. And we are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you prefer to listen to our dulcet tones rather than watch us.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks so much for your time, Frazer.
Yes, Tim. Thank you.